Alright y'all, so look, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about my predictions for UFC champions by the end of 2024. This list is being made after the Makhachev and Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker fight night, but before the first pay-per-view of the year, Sean Strickland versus DDP. And so I kind of made it that way so I can kind of put a big old finalization, a big old stamp on my final predicts. So let's get right on into it. This list will not be counting any women's athletes. So for our first champion, we got Tom Aspinall for heavyweight. There's no other guy. Tom Aspinall is the interim champion. He deserves, he's going to become the next heavyweight champion by the end of 2024. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic is obviously a double retirement. We already know that, it isn't verbatim. It hasn't been said verbatim by any of these guys, but we already know that Jon Jones is old as fuck. You know what I mean? He's been kind of, beating around the bush when talking about, his longevity in the sport. Stipe Miocic hasn't touched the cage in over 3 years. He hasn't touched the cage since 2021. Guys, we are in 2024. The last time Stipe Miocic touched the cage was when he got folded like a lawn chair by Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou is no longer in the sport and has gone on to box Tyson Fury and beat him. Stipe Miocic is going to retire. He's a fighter now. He doesn't care about the sport. You know what I mean? He's the perceived GOAT of the heavyweight. Jon Jones, he doesn't even have a tit anymore. Bro, come on. He's going on elbow surgery. This fight is going to be a double retirement. He's going to give up the belt. It's not even going to be a vacant title because, Tom Aspinall is the interim champion. He's going to get instantly promoted to heavyweight. Tom Aspinall is he's a new breed of heavyweight. The fast, agile heavyweights, these fast, agile 250-pounders. You know what I mean? He's going to be really dominant, I think. Insane dominance. We already saw a glimpse of its dominance against Sergey Pavlovich. He knocked his ass out in 20 seconds. He got hit once, and then after that, he boomed his ass with a fucking overhand right. Clean out. Oh my God, that fight was insane. It wasn't even a fight. It was 20 seconds. He's a new breed of heavyweight, and I think he easily cooks the top 5 heavyweights, such as Gane, Sergey Pavlovich. He's already a victim. Stipe and Curtis Blades. It's going to be an easy sweep for Tom Aspinall. He's the champion we deserve. He's the champion we need, and that's the champion we're going to get by the end of 2024. Moving up on the card, we got Alexandre Pereira. Alex Pereira for light heavyweight. For my first bullet, he's a slayer. He's a champion slayer, dude. He's beaten Israel Adesanya. He's Izzy's father. We already know that from kickboxing days. He's beaten Israel Adesanya in middleweight, Jan Blachowicz, who was a former light heavyweight champion, Yuri Prochazka, and Sean Strickland, who is the current middleweight champion. Alex Pereira is an absolute demon boogeyman champion slayer. You know what I mean? So we already know that he's always going to come with the vengeance for any rising contenders. For my second bullet, activity at a high, because he's getting older. Alex Pereira is about 36. You know what I mean? So there isn't too much longevity, or not too much longevity. There isn't too much time on his contract, on his fighting career. He's getting older. You know what I mean? So he wants his activity to be at an all-time high. That's why he literally fought. How many times did he fight in the year of 2023? He fought 3 or 4 times after getting brutally headshot KO'd by Israel Adesanya. You know what I mean? So I think, he's not going to be any type of rusty. There isn't going to be any type of ring rust because he wants his activity to be at an all-time high as he gets older. You know what I mean? He's only getting older. He's 36. Not too much. I think I see him fighting maybe 38. 2026, we see the retirement of Alex Pereira. So that's that. I think he cooks the top 5 light heavies as of right now. I think when Jamal Hill comes back, he's gonna get cooked. I think that's gonna be an absolute barn burner of a fight. Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira. But Alex Pereira is gonna starch Jamal Hill. Yuri Prochazka is already a victim. He beats Yuri. He maybe beats Makhachev and Ankalaev. After watching the fight between Makhachev and Ankalaev and Johnny Walker last night, Magomed Ankalaev kind of looks pretty sound. You know, we obviously know he has the takedown. He has the grappling. He's a Dagestani inbred. You already know he has that in his kit. You know what I mean? He's really good. He just shattered Johnny Walker's face last night. Destroyed him. Hit him with a flush right hand hook to the fucking temple. Knocked him out. And then finisher with the uppercut. He's insane. Johnny Walker wasn't even in that fight. I don't know what the fuck Johnny Walker was doing that entire fight. He was doing emotes and shit. Fuck Johnny Walker. He's never becoming champion. Fuck you. He's already beaten Jan Blachowicz. You know, Jan Blachowicz is in the top 5. He's already a victim. And I think he destroys Alexander Rakic. It's not even comp. And for my last bullet, if Jamal ain't ready, book him versus Ankalaev. I think Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev would actually be a hell of a fight. I think it will really be a good test for Alex Pereira's ground game. Ankalaev, you know, going off of last night's fight, he's got hands. So, I mean, but definitely not hands, like hands equal to Alex Pereira. I think he wins the fight on the feet. Ankalaev is going to have to utilize his ground game, but Alex Pereira isn't a slouch on the ground. Yuri Prochazka and Jan Blachowicz both brought him onto the ground and did absolutely nothing. I think Yuri Prochazka was about to get his head popped off like a pimple in the second round before he got KO'd. So I think you book the fight with Ankalaev if Jamal ain't ready. If Jamal is ready, book that fight. But if he isn't, book Ankalaev. I think he cooks Ankalaev. But, I mean, there is that slight possibility that Alex Pereira can get submitted on the ground by Ankalaev. You know what I mean? He's a Dagestani inbred. What do you expect? And so for my next fighter on the card, we got my namesake, Khamzat Chimaev, for middleweight. So here's the thing with Khamzat. He was a former boogeyman, you know, when he was in the 170 division, welterweight, but is now considered a fraud. And, you know, Khamzat Chimaev, this list isn't going to be biased at all, I promise. You know, there's a little bit of bias with Khamzat because he is my favorite fighter, but, you know, the facts are the facts and you got to face reality at some point. Khamzat, I don't think he's a fraud. I just think he's untested. You know what I mean? But we'll get into that later. Second bullet, him in the first round is a mythical fighter. I think Khamzat Chimaev in the first round is a mythical fighter. If you survive Khamzat Chimaev in the first round, your chances of winning go up astronomically. It skyrockets out of the roof. I think if you're not able to stuff the takedowns, resist them, endure first round Khamzat, you know, you're kind of set. You know what I mean? For my third bullet, he beats Sean Strickland, but I can see him losing to DDP. So, you know, this list is being made before the DDP versus Sean Strickland fight. I think Sean Strickland, like if I'm gonna make a prediction list on that fight later on this week, but I predict Sean Strickland beats DDP, but, you know, he obviously can lose. DDP is actually really good, and after that nasal surgery, his gas tank is insane. I think he can go 5 rounds. You know what I mean? So, you know, either one, whoever wins in that fight, I think verbatim, he beats Sean Strickland. These two used to be, you know, training partners at their gym. You know what I mean? Sean Strickland it was kind of said that Sean Strickland has been beaten by Khamzat Chimaev multiple times, you know, in that gym. But, you know what I mean? They know something we don't. So, I don't know. But, you know, matchup, you know, fighting styles make fights. I think Strickland, he's more of like a, you know, dirty boxing, Philly shell type of on the feet type of guy. But if he gets taken down, I mean, like, I'm not saying Sean Strickland's takedown defense is trash. I'm just saying first round Khamzat is insane. And, you know, Khamzat is probably one of the best wrestlers that we have in the UFC, in the active UFC roster right now. So that's that. I think he cooked the top 5 welterweight, or not welterweights, middleweights right now. That's kind of debatable. I think he destroys Izzy. I think if he doesn't get knocked out by Izzy in the first round, he could probably just sub him out, pop his head like a pimple. He can I see him beating DDP. Let's just say that. He beats DDP. He beats Robert Whittaker. I see him beating Jared Cannonier, and I absolutely see him starching the fuck out of Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori, I don't even know why he's top 5 ranked in the middleweight division. We need a resurgence. We need a new game. But some negatives about him: his gas tank, his striking. and his activity. I think he needs a new striking coach. His striking is absolutely absurd. His gas tank, you know what I mean? After that Gilbert Burns fight in the welterweight division in 2022, it kind of broke that aura of invincibility when we got with Khamzat Chimaev. That kind of turned him from the boogeyman to the fraud. I think that fight between Gilbert Burns kind of, you know, put some chinks in his armor, or showed us where the chinks are in Khamzat Chimaev's armor. His gas tank is absolutely, I don't think his gas tank is a problem. You know what I mean? You know, that fight was an absolute war. When you have absolute wars, you're gonna be breathing heavy. Come on now. But Gilbert Burns was a former lightweight that was, you know, going up, you know, and fighting at welterweight. Kind of put on a barn burner of a fight between Khamzat, but that was in 2022. We're in 2024. He's probably gotten better, but his striking is trash. He needs a new striking coach, please. Oh my God, as a Khamzat fan, as a Khamzat diehard, I hate seeing him, you know, throw those pity pat shots and shit. You know, that disgusting head movement that he, you know, put on against Kamaru Usman. But it's whatever. You know, his grappling's insane. It's S tier. And his activity, I don't know what's going on with Khamzat Chimaev's activity. I don't know if it's like a visa thing, because, you know, he's friends with, you know, a Chechen dictator in Ramzan Kadyrov. They're not giving him any type of visa or, you know, membership to the US, but he is not fighting. All of 2023, he's only fought once, and that was on the 294 card in Abu Dhabi, you know, United Arab Emirates. That he's a fucking Muslim, you know, is obviously going to be accepted in fucking Abu Dhabi and shit. So he needs to, you know, fight more. I want to see him fight at the beginning of 2024, probably March or UFC 300. You know what I'm saying? Fight like multiple times this year. Get some activity, you know what I'm saying? Build up some tape. See, you know, so we can stop calling him a fucking fraud. I think the fight between him and Kamaru Usman, you know, he 10-8'd him in the first round. That's no debate. Second round, I'll definitely give that to Kamaru Usman. You know, he was getting lit up on the feet. Khamzat Chimaev's striking is so fucking trash. Bleh. And yeah, and then the third round was kind of a toss-up. I'd probably give it to Khamzat Chimaev because of that, like, that last, you know, desperate takedown attempt that he took down Kamaru Usman. And let me mind you, Kamaru Usman 2022, Kamaru Usman was pound for pound #1. You don't just take Kamaru Usman down. I think before then, before Khamzat, it was Leon Edwards who was his first takedown. So Kamaru Usman is no, like, I think the fight between him and Kamaru Usman was actually a really good show of his, like, you know, his expertise and his growth. I think the fight between him and Gilbert Burns, in my opinion, as a Khamzat Chimaev fan, as a Khamzat Chimaev diehard, I think he lost that fight with Gilbert Burns. I think he absolutely lost that fight. Not unanimous. It would have gone to split. I would have gave the split decision to Gilbert Burns, but it's whatever. Khamzat Chimaev is tough. He's my favorite fighter of all of UFC. But, you know what I mean? I think he's going to become the middleweight champion, but he's got to seal in those cracks in his game, his striking, his gas tank, and his activity. For our next fighter, we got Leon Rocky Edwards for welterweight. I see him keeping his belt for all of 2024. For number one, we have to remember that he ended the reign of the pound for pound #1 twice. Not once, but twice. He head kick KO'd Starch Brutal badly, kicked Kamaru Usman to the shadow realm his first time, and then the third time, Kamaru Usman's getting old, I don't know, but he fucked Kamaru Usman up in their third fight. You know what I mean? Sadly, he cooked the People's Champ. The fight between him and Colby Covington was an absolute fucking stinker. I thought Colby Covington, like, I know people have seen those memes of, like, end of 2023, we get like the white boy summer type shit. We got Sean Strickland, Sean O'Malley, and then Colby Covington. And in that roster, Colby Covington was the most likely, you know, champion out of in that three. And he ended up losing to Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards keeps his belt. He's a perfect all-arounder. Underrated takedown defense, underrated ground game. I think his ground game is really good. He's basically like a smaller counter striker like Izzy. His striking's really crisp. It's really clean. I think he beats Bilal Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? They had their first fight, ended in an eye poke. Don't care. Their second fight, Bilal is crying for that title shot. I think Leon Edwards beats him. I'm going to say 3rd round TKO or 1st round eye poke. I don't care. I think he loses to Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, sadly, is kind of, he's at his prime. He's at the tippity top of his prime right now. And I think he cooks the top 5, such as Bilal Muhammad, already an eye poked victim. Kamaru Usman, 2 times victim. He got fucked up twice. Shavkat Rakhmonov. So here's the thing about Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Leon Edwards is going to be the one to fraud check Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Shavkat is super overrated. He's fought who? Jeff Neal and Wonderboy, who has no takedown defense. And dude, they're all around. I don't know. Wonderboy is 41. Jeff Neal isn't really that good. He's been kind of fighting cans. When he goes up in competition and fights the champion, Leon Edwards, he's going to meet his match. Leon Edwards is going to be the one to fraud check Shavkat Rakhmonov, and you heard it here first. He also beats Gilbert Burns, and sadly, he beats Donald Trump's favorite champion, Colby Covington. For their next fighter on this list, we got Islam Makhachev. I personally think Islam Makhachev is the king of the lightweights and is on the road to GOAT status. Islam Makhachev is an all-arounder with underrated striking game. I think he's a lot better than Khabib, all around speaking. I think on the ground, Khabib obviously takes that. Khabib is the best, wrestler in all of UFC history, in my opinion. But Islam Makhachev is just, an all-around better fighter. You know what I mean? If I were to pick one or the other, I'm picking Islam 9 times out of 10. Islam Makhachev, let's look at his roster right now. Islam Makhachev has beaten fucking Charles Oliveira. He's beaten Arman Tsarukyan before. He's beaten Dan Hooker. Bobby Green. It's all right. But Islam Makhachev is really dominant. His striking game is super underrated. We obviously know that his ground game is gonna be good. He's a Dagestani inbred. Like, what? Like, come on. You know what I mean? And I think he beats loser and winner of Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. I think he's already beaten Charles. He knows what to do. Charles is scared of Islam. He's already beaten Islam. But I think out of the two, I think out of the two, Charles versus Arman, I think out of Charles and Arman, I think Arman has a better chance on beating Islam than Charles does. I think Islam is in Charles's head. He doesn't even want to fight in any type of Muslim country anymore. I think he wants to fight Islam on his terms. I just think that, Islam lives in Charles's head rent free, but Arman is he's a rising contender. He's never touched the belt before. He's going to be super hungry. Out of everybody, it would be Arman Tsarukyan to beat Islam. I just don't see that happening. He beats Justin Gaethje. You know what I mean? Justin Gaethje has really gotten better. His ground game has gotten really better. His kicking game is absolutely phenomenal. But I just think Islam would just overpower him, pressure the fuck out of him, beat the fuck out of him, and either sub him out or knock him out. You know what I mean? He has KO. Now we've seen that he has KO power. It was against a featherweight, but knockout power is knockout power. A full camp will not, like a headshot KO is inevitable. Stop it, bro. A full camp is not defending you from a headshot KO. And I think he eliminates the top 5 lightweights in his division, such as Charles, Dustin, Justin, Arman, and Chandler. Chandler's already getting brown-nosed by Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is literally holding grapes over Michael Chandler's mouth and taking him away type shit. He's not fighting Chandler. Chandler's, doing his own thing with, McGregor. And so, yeah, Islam Makhachev is going to keep his belt by the end of 2024. My predicts. For our next fighter on the list, we got Illia Topuria for featherweight. I don't think people realize this right now, but he's an undefeated monster. We look at Illia Topuria's record right now. He's beaten Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett just had that brutal, insanely brutal KO to Bryce Mitchell in UFC 296. That fucking card, dude, that was insane. And Illia Topuria, he's Josh Emmett is a fucking Illia Topuria victim. Illia Topuria has already beaten Josh Emmett, You know what I mean? I think he beats Volk in February. And here's the thing about that take. Before the Islam headshot KO, I would have put Volk as keeping his belt in 2024. But, you know, Volk fought Islam in October, got headshot dead. And this is a really quick comeback. You know, October, February, it's about a 4-month comeback. I don't think, you know, after you get brutally headshot KO'd like that, I think you should it should be like a year, not even a year, but like half a year. But 4 months is a little too quick. I think, you know, Volk is getting older. He's like 36. You know, his longevity in the sport isn't too strong anymore. You know what I mean? And I think Illia Topuria he's just hungrier. He's younger, and he's kind of an underrated monster in my opinion. For my next take, I think Max Holloway can't handle him. You know what I mean? It was like the biggest saying ever that if Volk didn't exist, Max Holloway would be our reigning champion. But I think after Illia Topuria starts his Volkanovski out cold in the second round in February, Max Holloway will not be able to get that belt. I think Max Holloway, we already know Max Holloway does not have KO power. He has pillow hands. You know what I mean? Illia Topuria, we all know that as soon as somebody becomes a champion, they get that 30% increase. And Illia Topuria might become unstoppable after he becomes champion. I don't think Max Holloway will be able to get his hands on that championship belt anymore. He doesn't have KO power. His endurance and his stamina are insane. His durability is insane, but I just don't think that's enough to beat Illia Topuria. And for my last take, I think he beats the top 5 in his division right now. You know, I already got him beating Volk. Holloway can't really do anything to him. Ortega is a fence sitter. I don't know how the fuck he's still ranked in the top 5 in the division. He hasn't fought since 2022, 2021. He hasn't fought in a fat long time. He's gonna fight this year. I don't know which event, but he's gonna fight, you know, pretty soon. We'll see, but Ortega's not that good. I still got Illia beating him. And lastly, Arnold Allen. I see him beating all 5 of these guys in pretty super stellar fashion. And that's that. For our next fighter, we got Sean O'Malley for bantamweight. Sean O'Malley owns Dana White. Dana White is his cum slut. Dana White's going to do anything in his power to cater to Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's honestly Dana White's father right now. You know what I mean? Sean O'Malley's resume is kind of built on cans. You know what I mean? Hand-picked fighters in order to, you know, make Sean O'Malley look good and have this, you know, this record. You know what I mean? So I think he loses. I think he might lose to Merab. You know what I'm saying? Now, I see him losing to Merab, but I don't see Dana White giving him that fight. You know what I mean? Merab is already fighting Henry Cejudo. Whoever wins that fight, you know, is in contention for a title shot, but I don't know. Merab beats Sean O'Malley, point blank period, but he's not going to fight Merab Dvalishvili. You know, he's already fighting Marlon Chito Vera, and I think Vera's Marlon Chito Vera is 6th in the division. Merab Dvalishvili is 2nd in the division. Why won't you make that fight, Dana White? Oh, I know why. Because you're Sean O'Malley's cum slut and he owns you. Fucking pussy, bald, Uncle Fester looking bitch. But look, I think he cooks Chito Vera. You know what I mean? That first fight, you know, it was whatever. It was during quarantine. I don't really care. This is a new Sean O'Malley. He's the champion. He already got that 30% boost. Sean O'Malley's going to go out there and start Chito Vera out, I think. Second round, maybe third round, TKO. He's already booted the perceived GOAT of the division out of the division. I think, I'm pretty sure Aljamain Sterling literally just came out not too long ago saying that he's not fighting in bantamweight anymore. He's going to be fighting in featherweight from now on. I think Sean O'Malley lives rent free in Aljo's head. He lives in Aljo's head. Aljo's not even coming back to the division because it's being ruled by Sean O'Malley. That's that, really, honestly. And for my next one, Dana White just gives him what he needs. Kind of goes up to, you know, the first bullet. Dana White is Sean O'Malley's cum slut and basically does anything to cater to Sean O'Malley. So he's going to give Sean O'Malley those fights in order to, you know, keep him as champ because he sees him as the next Conor McGregor. Never happening. Fuck you. And last but not least, he cooks all the top 5 bantamweights in the division. Aljo's gone, scared shitless, tail behind his legs. Merab, he's not getting that Merab fight. They're not putting him up against Merab. They know Merab is going to cook him, and Merab is not, marketable at all. He can barely speak English. I think he beats Henry Cejudo. That's kind of a here and there, but if I were to pick, an outcome, I think Sean O'Malley gets the job done. Corey Sandhagen, I think he beats Corey Sandhagen, and obviously he beats Jan. Jan is kind of falling off. RIP Jan, bro. Kind of, it's upsetting, honestly. But on to our next fighter. We got Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight division. Alexandre Pantoja is an absolute dog. Every fight he has is an absolute barn burner, in my opinion. I think that that fight that he had against Moreno, in July of 2023 was the best fight of the year. That fight was insane. You know what I mean? He's beaten Moreno, Royval, Cap, all of these high-ranked guys. I think his longevity kind of soars, even above or far past 2024, in my opinion. I think Manel Kape sold, recently for that Johnny Walker versus Magomed Ankalaev card. He missed weight, and his fight with, Matus Nicolau was taken off of the card. I think he would have beaten Matus Nicolau and probably would have gotten, he probably would have, rioted for a title shot. I kind of had him beating Alexandre Pantoja, but because he's lost weight and he didn't fight, that number one contenders fight is probably going to go to Royval versus Moreno. That fight has already been booked, and I think the winner of that fight probably gets a title shot. But I see him beating both of those guys, honestly. He's Moreno's dad. He's beaten Moreno countless times. I think he's beaten him 3 times. He's beaten Moreno in July of 2023. He's beaten Moreno in May of 2018, and he's beaten Moreno again in May of 2000. No. Dude. Yeah, I just think he owns Moreno. Moreno can't really find. He just got his number. He just owns Moreno. He has Moreno's number, and that's pretty much about it. I think he beats the top 5, flyweights in the division: Moreno, Albazi, Royval, Kai Kara-France, Matus Nicolau. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to be said. Alexandre Pantoja is just too dominant. I think he owns everybody in his division right now as we speak. His career is probably going to go farther than 2024. I don't really see him losing right now. Maybe Manel Kape, but we need to see. We need to get more tape on Manel Kape to see if he beats Alexandre Pantoja. And that concludes my predictions for UFC fighters by the end of 2024. Hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll see you next time. Ciao.